The Heartland Institute, for one, is a good source for finding out more. You can Google educational savings accounts and just pull up a ton of information on where they're being used and any information you can want on.
The second part would also on the table be the chance of making the Secretary of Education an elected office.
That has been tried, I believe. We've tried, haven't we? Didn't somebody bring the bill this last?
It used to be an elected position.
Yeah, it used to be. I'd like to see it elected again. But the American Legislative Exchange Council has a report card they issue every year on every state. And I found the 2009 in my library and then 2013. And I think you'll find this rather interesting. We ranked education performance 39th. Under identifying high quality teachers, we get an F. Under retaining effective teachers, we get a C. This is back in 2009. And in removing ineffective teachers, we get an F. Okay? Fast forward to 2013, identifying effective teachers, we get an F still. In retaining effective teachers, we drop from a C to a D minus. And then in removing ineffective teachers, we still get an F. So, and you wonder why we're losing teachers in South Dakota. One, we've got to pay them adequate pay. And then two, we've got to stop mandating these Common Core standards that are just a weight around the ankles of our teachers, and we need to set them free to teach and do what they do best.
I want to follow up on that just real quick. The point that I tried to make earlier about the $300 million that we've spent every place else with education since 2011. My fear is that what's happened since the governor took office is we've created a crisis. We've created a crisis in education. And it hit my district of Edgemont about 10 years ago. They cut $150,000 and then had an opt-out for $150,000. The Custer School District, since I've been in the legislature, cut over $1 million. And now it's catching up to Rapid City, I think, because of the economies of scale. You have a lot of growth in your district that allows that money outside of the formula. So you have more money being injected in your schools because you've got growth. You've got economic growth, unlike a lot of other communities in the state. But I think that what's unfortunate about this situation is we've allowed this to fester for 5 years into a crisis through benign neglect of education, not getting them back to the 4,800 level. This is the first year that we have, and it's taken 5 years, while we've spent $300 million in other areas. And for now to suggest that we're going to increase the sales tax by a penny, that's on the table, and or we're going to force consolidation, which is going to be very painful to these districts that are complying with Common Core and already having trouble. I think that it's the wrong way to get a tax increase. I think creating a crisis over 5 years in order to get a tax increase is the wrong way to go about public policy. And for that reason, I've been trying to figure out how do we get our teacher payout, not our administrator pay, and not our busing cost, but how do we get the teacher paid up from the state perspective so that we can do better on these national standards about getting good teachers and retaining them so they're not going to Wyoming. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, are we going to be changing the formula on how the taxes are being distributed to schools? The funding formula? Because Rapid City is paying a higher percentage.
Is that on the table?
Is that on the table for your session?
the way I understand it, each district now has the freedom, you know, we send the money down and they have the freedom to do with it what they want. And so I don't see why that wouldn't be on the table, and maybe it needs to be on the table until we get people kind of reined in a little bit and understand what the people of South Dakota's priorities are. We want a good education, and we want teachers to be compensated for giving a good education. And so, you know, at this point, I wouldn't leave anything on the table. And secondly, this just occurred to me too this morning. You know, I sat on this tribal state relations committee with the state, and we met yesterday down there. And of course, you can imagine that's a pretty discouraging, tough job that we look at. And we've been talking extensively about the reconciliation process and what Governor Mickelson did 25 years ago by proclaiming reconciliation. And we talked about how important education is for our young people in South Dakota. How many of you, I personally, when I was in grade school, I had a really good, I went to a one-room schoolhouse, one teacher, 13 kids, 8 grades, and we studied South Dakota history. And I was fortunate enough to have a dad and people that surrounded me that were history buffs, and so, you know, we understood our history. And so yesterday when we were talking about this, we said how important it is that we incorporate our South Dakota history into our schools, and not just the non-native side of it, but the native side of it. And so, you know, I keep thinking about this process and things that we do want to change and make better, but our education system is key. It drives everything. And so, do you think under the Common Core state standards that if there's going to be time to be bothered with South Dakota history and maybe involving yourself in the reconciliation of our state? I don't think that our teachers have hardly enough time now to do what they do. Matter of fact, I know they don't. My daughter's a teacher, I know. So, you know, those are all things that we have to take into consideration. And we as a state and citizens, we have to engage, we have to get involved. It bothers me immensely when somebody said, well, I don't even know who my representative is. And then they're upset when things don't go right. It is very, very, very important in this day and age to know who is representing you and what they are doing in here. Because, you know, I can understand teenagers and 20-year-olds maybe not knowing who the representative is in their district, but there's no excuse for any adult to not know who their representative is. And so that's why I want to make accountable under this special session that people will have a place to go and they will know if their representative voted for this special session. And we are going to see what the priority is in the state of South Dakota through this special session. So.
Thank you. We probably better cut it off, but I want to thank everybody for coming today, and we'll stick around for any other discussion afterwards. But thanks again for coming.
Thank you.